Alright, welcome back. After I took Rashad Jennings, Alex Smith, Jake Locker, Brandon Pettigrew, Jaquiz Rogers, Greg Little, Jacob Tammy, Sam Bradford, the Texans defense, Rashard Mendenhall, and Lance Moore were selected. There goes the Bears defense. And we're stuck looking at 5 picks before I come up. Tim Tebow was just selected. Make it 4 picks. I could see myself taking more running backs here, although the wide receivers that I like are all still available. Malcolm Floyd. Darius Hayward-Bay is an interesting guy. And Blackman, while I wasn't really a believer, mostly based on Blaine Gabbert, he seems like he's going to be fine this year after that most recent preseason game. They seem to have a good connection. Of the running backs that I do like, Evan Royster is my top-ranked guy. Then C.J. Spiller, Toby Gerhart, Michael LaSure, Beanie Wells, Mark Ingram, Isaiah Peed, Ben Tate, Ryan Williams, and Pierre Thomas. I have Pierre Thomas and Mark Ingram in here, but that's kind of a backfield I want to stay away from, the Saints backfield, that is. Mostly because I don't like the whole running back by committee. You never know which guy is going to be the one you want in any given week. There tends to be a little bit too much ebb and flow in that case. Ben Tate is a guy that I like a lot in general, and I'm more inclined to take him in this draft because I have Arian Foster on my team. With that said, I don't think he's going to get taken by the auto drafter is no longer on auto draft. The Packers defense was just selected. So again, I'm looking at wide receivers. I could take a tight end. Witten, Gonzalez, Selleck, Rudolph, Gresham, Owen Daniels are all still available. I think I'm going to pass on tight end still. My preference here is to go Royster and then Ben Tate and hope that this guy at the wheel doesn't screw that up. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to start off with Royster. I think getting the Redskins starting running back is not a bad thing. And I'm definitely loading up on running backs, as you can tell. And I think that's a strategy you should be employing in basically all your fantasy drafts. They tend to get hurt more than every other position, and there's just not as much depth at the position relative to wide receiver or quarterback. Justin Blackman was one of the players selected by the guy on the wheel. And for his next pick, Matt Flynn. All right, so I'm going to take Ben Tate here. Now I've got 4 running backs on my bench. I really need to start prioritizing wide receiver and tight end after this, and that's okay. I don't mind waiting till the end of the draft to fill out those positions as far as depth goes, because I have a lot of guys that I like going forward here. And in half-point PPR, a guy like Danny Amendola, who's pretty buried in the Yahoo rankings, is a guy I have rated relatively highly. He's a guy we'll keep an eye on going forward, as well as some of these other guys I mentioned before, Malcolm Floyd, Mike Williams, Sidney Rice, Santana Moss, Michael Crabtree, Alshon Jeffrey, etc. So yeah, Ben Tate, welcome to the team, and I will be back soon. Picks are firing off at this point, and after I took Ben Tate, David Wilson, the Eagles defense, Mason Crosby, Randy Moss, Santana Moss, Toby Gerhart, Stephen Ridley, Mark Sanchez, CJ Spiller, Anquan Bolden, Randall Cobb, and Jason Witten were all selected. There are 4 picks left before I come up here. My priority at this point is wide receiver, although I might take Tony Gonzalez as my tight end. There goes Malcolm Floyd. That's a pretty sweet pick in the 14th round, I think. Laurent Robinson was also selected right before that. My top-ranked wide receivers right now are Mike Williams and Danny Amendola. And in a PPR league or even a half-point PPR league, I would adjust that and probably put Amendola ahead of Mike Williams, although I do like Mike Williams this season with Vincent Jackson opposite him. Steven Gostkowski was just selected. More kickers. I will never understand that. Oh, Danny Amendola was just taken. How dare you, sir? All right, well, that makes the selection pretty straightforward for me. I like Mike Williams. Although, hold on, let's see. Tight end. Do I want to go with Tony Gonzalez? That is the question. I've got Gonzalez, Selleck, Rudolph, Gresham, Owen Daniels as my top-ranked guys. I guess the question is whether or not this guy would take a tight end. He already has Antonio Gates. Would he take a backup? He needs more running backs, it looks like. So maybe not. I hate to assume these things, though. I'm going to take Mike Williams. And, I mean, if he takes Gonzalez, so be it. I don't mind having one of these other tight ends on my team instead. What other wide receivers do I like here? Let's check the rankings. So after Mike Williams, all these other guys have been selected, but I got Sidney Rice, Crabtree, the Rams' Steve Smith, and he's way down here. So let's add those guys to the queue. Nate Burleson was just selected with one of the wheel picks. Where are you, Steve Smith? There you are, at 1,762 overall in the Yahoo rankings. It's pretty incredible. Javid Best, Michael Ashore still available, along with Mark Ingram, Pierre Thomas. It's like no one wants to even touch those platoon running back situations, and I can't blame them. I don't want to touch them either. Regardless, I'm going to take Gonzalez here. I haven't owned him. Like, he's getting old, but man, every year you think he's going to stop producing, and then he just keeps on doing it. I might try to back him up with another tight end later. I don't usually do that in these drafts. I usually just take one tight end and then worry about the bye week when it comes. But yeah, I don't think I can pass on the potential of this guy right now relative to the other tight ends. And I'll be back in a minute to recap some picks and get us set for round 16. Okay, welcome back. Since I took Tony Gonzalez, Pierre Thomas, LeGarrette Blount, the Seahawks defense, John Baldwin, Mario Manningham, the Lions defense, Tim Hightower, Sidney Rice, Alshon Jeffrey, and Dan Bailey were all selected. Got 6 picks before I come up here. I'm going to take a wide receiver when it gets back to me for my last bench spot. I mean, secretly it's my second to last bench spot because I'm not going to draft a kicker. Cedric Benson was just taken. Crabtree and Steve Smith are at the top of my list here. Some other guys I like. Despite the concussion, Austin Collie might be a guy I could see myself picking. Who else? Brandon LaFell is down here. With that said, I'm pretty sure Smith will be available, and I'm pretty sure that's who I'm going to take. Although I could try and get them both, Crabtree and Smith. Let's consult the rankings. So I've got Crabtree at 44 among wide receivers, Smith at 45, Greg Little is gone. I've got Collie at 48. Lance Moore. I could gamble. I could take Crabtree first and then hope that what's his name comes back to me, Steve Smith, which he probably would. The Niners offense, particularly the passing game, is another one I kind of tend to avoid just because we don't really know how it's going to shake out. Vernon Davis tends to be the number one target there. And with the addition of Manningham and Randy Moss, it's hard to say how much Michael Crabtree will actually be involved in that offense on a weekly basis. We could take a backup tight end. I'm not excited about that idea. I mean, Rudolph, Selleck still available. Yeah, I mean, I have a flex where I can play a tight end that could come into play, although I'm pretty sure that's going to be a running back every week. None of these quarterbacks are too thrilling, although I do think Ponder has some upside this season, and it looks like he's the last starter still available. Although who knows what's going on in Seattle. What's his name? Russell Wilson might get some playing time there. Running backs are worth looking at. LaSure could be a good value here. I could just take another wide receiver in Smith or Crabtree and then take another running back and just pound to that position. I could also jump on a defense here. Jets are the top-ranked Yahoo defense. I don't care about defense. We're not taking a defense here. Yeah, I'm going to take Steve Smith because I think he's the guy I want. And he's not a starter, so I'd rather gamble on him than gamble on Crabtree at this point. I've got 4 running backs on my bench already, 2 wide receivers. I mean, I'm good on bye weeks, so I'm not going to sweat that. The question is whether or not I want to take LaSure here or another wide receiver. And if I take a wide receiver, it'll probably be Crabtree. You know, I think the running back is probably just a better play. Because I can't imagine Crabtree starting over any of these 3 guys in any situation that's not a bye week. And I have guys to cover bye weeks already in Mike Williams and Steve Smith. So, Michael LaSure, welcome to the team. Serve that suspension and then come back and take the job from Kevin Smith. That would be great. With my last pick, I am going to take a defense, probably. Like, I don't mind having one extra spot taken up on my bench here. I guess that is something I should have considered, is that one of these players is going to get dropped. It's possible it'll be Michael LeSure, but you never know if Donald Brown gets hurt in one of the last 2 preseason games, or if MJD comes, reports to camp. I could see Rashad Jennings being a player I could drop, or even Ben Tate. I mean, right now he's just a handcuff to Foster, so you never really know who you're going to drop going into these things. As far as defenses go, there are a lot of them I like that are available here. Like, the Jets defense is fine. I like the Arizona defense. The Bills defense I like a lot. I like the Bengals defense a lot, for the explicit reason that their first 5 or 6 weeks are all against pretty mediocre opponents. And let's see if we can look that up. Where are the defenses? So Cincinnati. Week 1 gets Baltimore. That's not the best matchup, but it's not that bad. But then they get Cleveland, Washington, Jacksonville, Miami, Cleveland again. So the first 6 weeks, pretty solid. And then they get Pittsburgh. You never know really what to make of Pittsburgh or Baltimore before the season, like how good they're going to be offensively, because they tend to be defensive-minded teams in the first place. But I don't mind the Bengals defense this year. With that said, let's take a look at my defensive rankings. I think the Bills will probably be the highest ranked ones available. I have the Bills 8th overall among defenses. After I took LeSure, Russell Wilson was taken, then Christian Ponder, then Michael Crabtree, Jerome Simpson, Jason Hanson, Neil Rackers, Dan Carpenter, Kobe Fleener, Matt Prater, and Rob Baronis. So I'm on target to get one of the defenses I like. After the Bills, I have the Broncos, Patriots, Jets. I might be too low on the Jets. Those are the next ranked ones I have. Where do I have Arizona? I could have sworn I was higher on them. I have Arizona 16th after the Jets and Cowboys. So, yeah, maybe that's something I don't need to worry about. But I'm going to take the Bills here, assuming this guy with the Eagles defense or this guy with the Green Bay defense don't back up their defensive selections. After Baronis, Owen Daniels, the Patriots defense, Mike Nugent, Kevin Cobb, and Jacoby Ford were selected. And then it was Javid Best. I'm going to jump on the Bills defense here. Hopefully Mario Williams will take them to the next level as far as who they stop. Let's actually take a look at the schedule for the Buffalo Bills, just for grins. So they get the Jets, Kansas City, Cleveland, New England, San Francisco, Arizona, Tennessee. Other than New England, none of those are bad matchups either. So pretty excited to have them right here. We will close out the draft with the Buffalo Bills. Thank you very much for watching, and feel free to provide any feedback that you may have in the comments on YouTube or on the Fake Football. And we'll see you next time.